Got everything you need.
Postgame, Culver's welcome to Delicious. Great locations in Birmingham, 119, 280 in Tattersall Park, also Stadium Trace. There in Hoover, also Next Round Cocktails, drinknextround.com. That's drinknextround.com. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor. I'm Ryan Brown. The games are winding down. Auburn has just beaten Texas A&M 13-10. Carnell Williams gets his first win as the Auburn interim coach in a game that didn't have a ton of offense and didn't have a ton of fireworks, but Auburn gets the win. I don't know any other way to word that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, they got to win, and it's funny that Auburn fans, and I'll give them credit. You talk about the family, and I talked to a lot of Auburn fans that were going down this weekend, and they were so excited about the game. And it's hard to believe anybody would be excited about a team that is 1-5 in conference. But they were like, we want to support Carnell and these players and what they're doing. And I think the crowd played a little bit into what happened tonight.
Oh, of course. I mean that's a 3-6 team with an interim coach, and there's not many fan bases that turns out like that. I mean, I tweeted this out, and I think you guys would agree. If you're picking jobs of where places you want to go, going and having to inspire a fan base is always a big challenge when you take over a new job. That's not a problem at that place. And I know there will be some discussion about Carnell Williams being, considered for the job or whatever. And I don't think that's a realistic possibility, but I won't be in on the hiring process. But for what they showed tonight, that's very attractive for anybody who is looking at that job. If it's Lane Kiffin, or if it's Hugh Freeze, or if it's Matt Rule, or if it's Dan Lanning, or if it's, you name a coach, you look at that right there and you said, my goodness, it's 3-6 and they've got an interim coach playing another 3-6 team on a cold Saturday night, and they do that. You can work with that. The
other side of that game, and I'm saying this to someone here, if you dropped me out of a spaceship and I knew nothing about college football, and you turn that game on and say, hey, one of these teams has just fired their coach, and one of these teams is paying a guy $90 million, it would have been a coin flip for me.
Oh,
and that is just baffling, man.
Brown, it is the worst offense I think I've ever seen. I can't. Like, Jimbo should be embarrassed. And I know all these guys have got egos, especially when you're making over $10 million a year. But it's one of those things that you've got to finally say, hey, look, I've got to step back for the betterment of the program. And I am putting this guy in charge, and he is going to call plays. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched. And I give Auburn credit because of the guts. But A&M's offense is so bad. It's archaic. There's no rhythm. I know we'll get to Bama in a little bit, and it's a totally different situation. But the A&M offense is awful.
Well, I mean, give Carnell and them credit for realizing the personnel they have, and they played to that style. Jimbo Fisher, my goodness, I don't even know what you're doing anymore. And every broadcast that you do, it's an amazing scene watching Carnell on the field with his family here. You have every broadcast, whether it's the SEC Network guys with Tom Hart, or whether it's Sean McDonough doing a game, or whether it was Gary and them doing a game on CBS, they all say the same thing. They're like, man, you look at this offense, and it's stuck in the 1990s or the early 2000s, and he hasn't progressed with the changing rules and everything. And you give it to Nick Saban, and they played murder ball for a while, and then he brought Lane Kiffin in and changed the way they played. And now Bill O'Brien, everyone's screaming, hey, run the ball a little bit more. There's been some change there. Everyone changes their offense, and Jimbo Fisher is stuck with that, I guess, that same spiral notebook we talk about all the time that he had back in the 1990s that he bought at the local Office Depot, and is still using it. You've got to progress, and you have some now you didn't play with A-Chain tonight, but you have some talented players. But you can just look at Wegman on the sideline when he would come off, and that kid was just he blank on the face. He was like overwhelmed. Like, what are we doing? What plays are we calling? And he's throwing to empty space out there. It is a disaster in an offense. And I don't know if you have any power with him to go in and say, hey, you've got to, because I guess he doesn't have to do anything. But if you're Jimbo Fisher, just for the enjoyment of your life, you should change. You should bring somebody else in, and you just sit back and cash a check and run the program, do the interviews, and help recruit, take credit, and be like most coaches in college football.
I agree 100%. You're like, I don't know where you guys are, but I'm in my life now, and I'm younger than Jimbo. But I want to have success and make money, but at the same time, for the betterment of whatever group I'm with, I let them take the reins if it's not working out. And it makes no sense that Jimbo wouldn't turn this over to an OC that could actually be a little more innovative.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys out there, and I think the kind of money A&M would throw around. I mean, if you're spending this kind of money on your head coach, you want to make it successful. So for the kind of money they would throw around, I would imagine you could convince a lot of people to come there. And again, it's a stable situation. Well, I don't know if it's a stable situation, but you don't feel like Jimbo's going to get fired anytime soon because of how much money they owe him.
Well, that's the only thing. I mean, you guys tell me if there was no ball and chain on Jimbo's leg with that $80 million plus, if there was zero buyout, I think he's fired tonight.
Oh, he would have been fired before this. Yeah. Yes, he would have been fired before this.
Yeah, had he not already been fired tonight, they would. We would get the announcement sometime on Sunday. Texas A&M has gone another direction. Yeah,
and honestly, I would fire him. I know you guys. I don't know if you agree. I know there's a lot of people out there they can't take on that kind of money. Again, you've got to pay him regardless through 2026. Go ahead, pull the trigger, get rid of him, because it's not going to get any better. I mean, best case, he's going 8-4.
Yeah. Well, every time he loses, and now, it's been the first time since 1972, they've lost 6 games in a row. And then after this, they lose 7 in a row. It may go back to the 1919s or something. So anytime you stack on another something like that, somewhere somebody's saying, well, I'll put up this amount of money. And, that number keeps getting closer and closer to a point where you probably could approach him and say, look, if we give you just $40 million cash, do you walk away from this and let us end the suffering here? But, that's a Texas A&M problem that they've made, and they've got to deal with this. I'm amazed about all their recruits that they signed last year. How many of those hit the portal? Have we seen A-Chain for the last time? They have some talent on that team. I just wonder if they get sort of picked apart and they start moving to other collectives, other NILs, and other places to finish out their college career after that great class, because this is the kind of season you could see it just totally start caving in.
It is the Culver's postgame. Culver's welcome to Delicious, 2 great locations in Birmingham. Tattersall Park, 119 and 280 is the newest one. Also Stadium Trace, 459 near the Hoover Met. More to come. Culver's welcome to Delicious, from the butter burgers to those buffalo chicken tenders we had the other day, the great fries, great desserts. You get it all right there at Culver's. And also don't forget Next Round Cocktails. You see them behind Dunaway over his right shoulder there. DrinkNextRound.com, DrinkNextRound.com. The Rosé Sangria and also the Salted Lime Margarita. You can see more at DrinkNextRound.com. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. We ask you to give us a thumbs up wherever you're watching us. So make sure you subscribe and set your alerts on YouTube. Follow us on social media at Next Round Live, whether you're on Twitter or Facebook. Share us, give us a thumbs up, and we appreciate that here on the Next Round. And don't forget to hit the store, nextround.store, nextround.store. Let's back up to the Alabama game. The Crimson Tide going on the road at Oxford to play Ole Miss, and looked awful in the first quarter. Just absolutely awful. Looked a little lost on defense. The offense was a complete and total mess. But you got to give Alabama credit in a game where, in Alabama standards, there was nothing to play for. They somehow straightened that thing out and ended up getting the win that way.
They did. What was it? Was it 7 carries for 4 yards rushing in the first quarter? Was that what it was?
I think it's something like that. It was awful, absolutely awful. And then Gibbs got hurt, and you thought, oh my gosh, if Gibbs is out, what are they going to do?
I thought he was a healthy scratch.
He had an ankle injury. Yeah.
Did he?
No, I did too. I agree with you, Dunaway. I thought it was just a performance thing.
Yeah,
you thought that because CBS missed his ankle injury. Which is what
maybe.
CBS does.
I'll tell you, I thought Jace played well.
He did. I thought Jace was in because of the physical aspect of his play, and And, he provided some downhill running that really helped open things up and won the football game for him today. And I thought the defense played better, but as I watched that game, it looked like it was the same problems you had in Knoxville, same problems you had at LSU. It was the same type of game, except they made one play at the end to win the game instead of losing the game at the end. But it looked like the same scenario with Tennessee, the same scenario at LSU. It seemed to be the same problems throughout the game. Spotty protection, drop balls, inability to get open. Some one corner getting picked on a lot. Seemed to be the same stuff that happened in Knoxville and Baton Rouge. The only difference was Brian Branch made a play. I don't know why Lane Kiffin chose to throw it to Mingo there and not go to was it Heath or the guy on the side that Arnold was on, where they'd had great success throughout the day, but they decided to go to Mingo, and that's just happened to be where Brian Branch was, and he made the play that won the game. When they got the football back, I told the wife, I said, well, Alabama's up 6. So that sets up the perfect scenario of them driving down and walking it off on the final play with another 1-point win and the field rushing again. The scenario was there. They just made a play. But I don't know about you, but it looked like the same type game, except they made one play at the end.
It did. And it's funny because a couple of years ago, Alabama games were boring. And now if you're an Alabama fan, like, you have so much anxiety because every game comes down to, it seems like, a final play. I had a feeling that Alabama would end up winning this game going away. But I'll tell you, man, that so Ole Miss is a little bit better than I thought. Alabama not as good as I thought. I think we would all agree with that. But Bryce Young played his ass off again.
He did.
Well,
Leanne says she thinks he's definitely not 100%. Can't throw down the field, can't throw accurately. Granted, we don't have the same receivers, but he's still not 100%. I tell you, on that first touchdown to Burton, I mean, that was an absolute – that was a laser. I mean, that's arm strength right there.
Yeah, the reason he's not throwing downfield, Leanne, is he doesn't have time to throw the ball downfield.
And I don't know if they have anybody that can beat anybody one-on-one downfield, Dunaway.
They don't.
And I was watching on over the antenna, so I didn't have the rewind DVR purposes.
Wow, old school.
Or I would. Well, it's such a great picture. So I was on that, and or I would have rewound and illegally videoed the video. But I'll go get coach's tape of this. I'll get somebody to send me some of the coach's tape of the high 22s. But there was 2 replays where Bryce is scrambling, where at that point you're supposed to just start working anywhere to get space and try to get open so he's got somebody to throw it to. And it reminded me so much of the Mark Gottfried basketball offense. It had a high shot and none of the receivers were open and nobody was moving. They were standing still. It looked like the shot was frozen, except you could see Bryce running and everybody else was standing there. Those receivers were not working hard to get open when he goes into scramble mode. They were just standing in place saying, throw it with a defender right on them. And by the way, another thing on the receivers, and then I'll digress. They are the worst blocking group of receivers Alabama's had since Nick Saban's been there. Those guys cannot block on the edge.
Yeah, 2 things. So sitting here, people are like, what's going on with Bryce? And I'm like, there are no people that are open. Like 0. No receivers are open, 0. And the other thing, and I just see it from Smuff here, he's talking about Kendrick Law. I thought Kendrick Law was a linebacker, but he comes in, and it's almost like we don't have a guy that can take this game over. We're going to send our linebacker out there to do it.
Yeah, well, he's an athlete who came from Louisiana, and they're using him at wide receiver. He can play a little linebacker, a little edge rusher, can play a little tight end, whatever. He can do it all. I think he can quarterback too. But I loved him, and I'll agree with Smuth here. You know why? Because he settled into space. He realized, okay, this guy's running with me. No, I'm going to stop, turn around, and let Bryce throw it to me. He and Bryce had a little chemistry going there, and he settled into space and didn't overrun a route. And I think that's what Smuth's talking about. I agreed with him when he was in there. He was like a bright light in that receiving core.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. LSU was lucky to win today. If KJ Jefferson starts, they don't win. And
Or
I
if
will
they
see
just
it.
start the other quarterback first, LT. They
Yeah.
Maybe
started.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Hornsby can run better, but the other kid could throw better. If they started the other kid first or played him earlier, I think Arkansas wins the game. Their defense
No.
played great.
Yeah, Hornsby is a Robbie Ashford light. Like Robbie Ashford is better than Hornsby. But I honestly think they would have won that game. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Assuming everything else was the same, and that's always the assumption, you don't know. But the way LSU played on offense, they were a very, very beatable team today. I don't think there's anything about that. But they won the game, and Alabama won. They became Alabama fans very quickly, so they're going to Atlanta. And
Yeah.
after watching Texas A&M tonight, I hate to say zero chance, but I do not see how A&M would beat LSU. So I think you're gonna have a 2-loss LSU team who's still alive for the college football playoff when they go to Atlanta.
You know what's really crazy is inside the New York Butcher state bet update was I was winning that freaking rushing yard state bet until
I knew you
Quinn
were
Shannon.
watching that. I knew you were watching
Well, I
that.
had
Until
to.
Junkins.
I had to glance going to that last drive. I was like, well, surely they got a pass on this last drive. So I glanced, and I think it was 149 and 154 and a half was the middle point of what LT and I had predicted. If you missed the show, we made a prediction on how many rushing yards that Ole Miss would have in the game, and I did 137 and a half, and LT was 170 something. So I think it was 146 actually when that drive started, and what a great play call by Lane to give it to Junkins, and he takes it off the side for 35 yards, and that was it. Because other than that, the whole second half, Alabama's defense did a fabulous job of adjusting to Quinshawn and to Dart running the football.
Yeah, you look at Ole Miss, and Danielson hit the nail on the head. When Alabama took their runaway and forced them into being a drop back passing team, that ain't Dart's game. They don't play that game. That is not how it works for Lane. And LT, once Alabama was able to take the runaway a little bit and force them into that was Alabama's game.
Oh, no doubt. And look, and I like Jackson Dart a lot. I appreciate what he did last year at USC coming in once Keaton Slovis went down, and I think he's getting better and better. But yeah, there was no chance he was going to beat that defense. But I'll tell you, that is the most aggressive face mask from Dallas Turner.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And I feel really good about, like, I gave out Alabama minus, it depends on where you shopped it, 9.5 all the way to 11.5. But they cover if it's not for that face mask.
Yeah, that had me screaming too. But in all fairness to him, as he's going by, he can only, and Alabama's been so close to touching quarterbacks in their losses, but not getting him to the ground. So he's reaching for Jersey.
But you feel metal, you got to let it go.
Well, I don't know. It's really hard to do that sometimes when you got it and your fingers wrapped in there, and now everything's going this way. To let go is hard to do. But it was an aggressive face mask, and luckily Dart wasn't hurt. But you could tell by his reaction that it was going so fast that even he thought to himself, "Oh crap! Is the guy's head still in this helmet?"
Hey, would you guys agree that's like the most aggressive, like over the top face mask ever?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one worse than that. Yeah.
I think I've seen one running back before. I can't remember what game it is right now, but it feels like it was an old school LSU game where running back was running like right up the middle, and a linebacker was going. I mean, there was nobody who was going to stop him, and a linebacker reached out and pulled him backwards. Took him. His feet went out like this with the helmet. It's bad.
Dunaway, I never saw 50 Shades of Grey. I know you did, but was there anything as violent in that as what we saw tonight?
Well, I mean, it was a pleasurable pain. I don't think Jackson Dart asked, could you do it again? Could you use both?
Okay.
Could you use both hands this time?
By the way, they're moving by so quick. Somebody was talking about the officiating in that game. It was just horribly officiated on both sides.
On both sides now.
Oh, somebody was talking about the Alabama player, the pass interference over the middle that didn't get called, which was right after a first down that was a good 2 yards short. 2 yards short. And they just give them the first down and never review it.
Yeah,
I mean, commercial say, "Oh, it was reviewed," and they said it was a first down. And then you had a face mask right in the middle of the play that wasn't flagged. And then you had the whistle. Alabama scored anyway. It actually probably did Alabama a favor right at the end of the half when Alabama has the scoop and score. I mean, both. I just gave you two egregious ones for both teams.
and look, we've got
the scoop and score, Dunaway, was one of the worst things I've ever seen because I always go back to this, and I think Brown does too. You officiated a 8A game, and they told you, do not blow that whistle. Once you blow the whistle, everything is dead. Let it play out. You should know that now. Let's let this thing play out, and then replay can actually settle everything. And they didn't do that. And that was a scoop and score.
Yeah, unless you're 100%, don't blow the whistle. We can always sort it out on replay. And especially on turnovers like that. And I know it looks stupid when you let the obvious incomplete passes go and people pick it up and run it down the field and all that. And then you come back and it's obvious it's an incomplete pass. But it's better to do it that way than to blow one dead. But those are such tough calls. We've got to do something about back shoulder throws and the way. I mean, Mike Evans, my guy in the NFL, is the best at this, about running into the defender, pushing off as you make contact with the defender, the cornerback.
Nothing you can do about it.
And then throwing backside.
No. But to your point, Dunaway, like there was a play down the sideline on Terrion Arnold, which was an obvious pass interference on Arnold. Well, the very next play, it's a clear push off, and they don't
100%.
flag that. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
That's the two plays I'm talking about. Yeah. And it is pass interference on Arnold. But the only reason he pass interfered with him is because of what happened on the next one. Because when he runs into you and gets that push off, he just grabbed him to keep from falling away from him, leaving him open. So it's pass interference. So he does it again the next time. Arnold doesn't grab him, and it's an easy completion. And now you're going to get picked on all day long. Yeah. So I think we've got to do something about making it a point of emphasis about the receivers really initiating the contact. And again, if it goes up to the NFL level, my guy will get penalized the most because Mike Evans does it every play. And it is legal right now, and it's smart receiving play, but I don't see how anybody can play defense. I don't see how any of these guys on secondary are able to play what they do. While we're complimenting the Alabama defense, did you notice something they did in this game in the second half they had not done a lot of all year? They played a lot of zone.
Yeah. And I think you're able to do that because Ole Miss is just not a great passing team. And but I'll tell you what, man, Byron Young had a game. That guy, my gosh, what a game he had.
Well, and I'll tell you, our man Henry To'oto'o, who we have on every Friday, he might miss a tackle here and there, and he's a little off. He is always in every single play.
That's right. He's going to be the coyote running into that brick wall every time.
He's the guy that, like, as a friend you want, because any situation you get in, he's going to back you up. It doesn't matter what it is.
That's exactly right.
Michael says Brian Branch made a great play on that last one. That was blanket coverage by Branch on that last pass in the end zone. Nowhere close to interference. I mean, blanket coverage by.
Yeah, but I'll tell you a couple of things. This game could have been a lot different. So there was a Kool-Aid, the tip pass in the end zone. Kool-Aid should have made that interception. Should have made that grab. That was an easy grab. And then the Jordan battle, I don't know if it was just such an easy play to make.
He threw it over his head.
I mean, there were so many things that, and again, I gave out Alabama, so I'm a little bitter. And I think I'm done playing Alabama on the road because they just can't cover on the road.
You know where they don't play any more games this year?
On the road.
Yeah, 2 home games and a bowl game somewhere.
But I really still believe, for whatever reason, it's a pretty good team, and it's more based on the fact that it's Bryce Young, because I can't see anything else offensively from them. But those two plays, they go differently. I think the outcome's a little different.
Yeah, and just one more before you move on, Brownie, on Ole Miss and Alabama. Leading passer in the game, Jackson Dart, 212 yards. Leading rusher in the game, Quinshawn Judkins, 135 yards. Leading receiver in the game, Malik Heath, 123 yards. When you hear people always say stats are for losers, there's proof in it right there. Alabama The
You
passing
you
leader,
guys,
rushing leader, receiving leader, all wore the baby blue of Ole Miss today, but Alabama won the football game.
well, tell me real quick, Zach.
Outgained 403 to 17. 403 to 17, LT.
So our buddy Zach, who listens a lot, said, "Come on, LT. Toa Toa had another bad game." NH3425 said Toa Toa is overrated. I think the guy's head is always there. He misses some tackles. He makes some bad decisions here and there, but he's an aggressive sideline to sideline guy. I like watching the guy play.
And I like the fact that they fought today, with by Alabama standards, nothing to play for. And it dawned on me as I was watching the Auburn game, how so many Alabama people were watching this 2-loss team today without probably the same emotions that they've watched the last 10 years. And there are 2, 3, and 6 teams playing down the road, and it's like it's for the freaking national championship. So your perspective sometimes, because of your success, can get out of whack, and you don't enjoy some of the things that you should enjoy in life the way you should. You know what I mean? It was a hard-fought, fun SEC game on the road. Alabama wins the game, and yet they'll be picked apart. And we've done it for 20 minutes ourselves.
All right. LT's got some house guests. He's going to step away, but I want to hit some of the national games real quick before LT heads out to the fire pit. Everybody's like, you got to be making noise outside. Everybody's outside, right? You're
They
outside
are,
making
and I'm a
noise.
little nervous about it. Hey, are they being good out there?
Would you give a pool
Yeah,
monitor?
I'm a little nervous. I don't want to be the obnoxious neighbor, but I got a lot of people outside.
LT's going to go join them in a minute. Let me remind everyone you're watching the Culver's postgame. Culver's, welcome to Delicious. 2 great Birmingham locations, Tattersall Park 119 and 280. Also Stadium Trace, just off 459 near the Hoover Met. Thank you to Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. Also Next Round Cocktails, drinknextround.com. That is drinknextround.com. The Rosé Sangria, Celta Line Margarita, drinknextround.com. Give us a thumbs up wherever you're watching us. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and set your alerts on YouTube. And also retweet us on Twitter, share us on Facebook, and like us there on Twitch. Let's run through the national games real quick. TCU survives again. Bad game done away for your boy Sark there at Texas.
Well, it started
awful offensive performance.
Started with the freaking wardrobe. He was wearing something. One person said it looked like he was going to a 1977 Taco Bell managers convention. If you were around back then and knew what Taco Bell's uniforms looked like, it looked like that. I said he was celebrating the Astros World Series with that tribute suit he was wearing again. And then they put up a dud of an offensive performance. Quinn Ewers has regressed. Both defenses played well, but, I mean, TCU didn't trail in this one. They didn't have to come back in this one. It was a dominant performance for the Horned Frogs. They'll be in the Big 12 championship game, and somebody's got to beat them, or they're going to be in the 4-team playoff because they control their own destiny. I thought it was an impressive win by TCU.
No, hey, look, TCU keeps rocking along, and I give them a ton of credit. So they'll be in the Big 12 championship game. I tell you, man, I don't think it's going to work out. We were talking about earlier this week, Oklahoma, Texas, do they have the right coaches? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, Oklahoma, bad loss. Texas at home, this is one of those games you've got to win. And I'm really surprised that Sark couldn't get this done. But at the same time, I have heard from some Texas people, and not that I got like deep sources, that Quinn Ewers doesn't like to practice. Quinn Ewers, yeah, seriously. And you can kind of see it. I mean, Quinn Ewers is like gaining weight as the season goes on, which makes no sense. But he's getting fatter. The hair's growing longer. And he's getting worse. You're right. He's regressing.
And can I just make a point on your what you're talking about, them moving into the SEC? I guess right now it's still 2025, so they got time to change and rebuild the whole program again. But Texas is 6-4 now. And Oklahoma, I got them at 5-5 now.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
I know. It's hard to believe. Ewers going to, by the way, there's a pretty good quarterback coming in next year for Ewers too. So he might want to figure out how to practice if he doesn't like to. This could be a disastrous night for the Pac-12. They've already lost one loss, Oregon, 37-34. Let's talk about that game real quick because everybody's talking about Dan Lanning's puzzling decision to go for a 4th and 1 on his own 36, I think it was. 34-34, the game is tied. He's on his own 36. LT, I know we were all watching that game. LT, why go for it? That
Nah,
I'm a Dan Lanning guy, but that made no sense.
it makes zero sense. You got to punt the ball in that situation. I mean, you got the better team. Oregon is better than Washington. And you got to make Washington be able to do something and push them back.
And you're at home.
Yeah, and you're at home. And now UCLA, people might think that they're on their heels because they're down 14-7. And look, Delaria is a really good quarterback. He just fumbled. They got it back.
Yeah.
UCLA, I promise you will not lose this game. I would bet left nut to $7 they don't lose this game.
$7 is a very very specific number there, Dunaway.
But I've already, I've got $7, but I too also already have a left nut, so I don't really need an extra one.
But you don't have LTs,
Yeah, right.
So,
somebody would have to chop it off and sew it up.
we'll let
what do I do?
that.
Do I walk in and walk into Maggie and say, "Does this look like the Oliphant guy's left nut?"
I'll take the bet, LT, just for the theater of
That's
you losing
fine.
one. Yeah, I'll take the bet.
I'll give you left nut to $7.
Yeah, 14
I
to
got
7.
girls coming in with fluorescent. What kind of hats are those? Cowgirl hats. Okay.
It is a party out at the fire pit. So that was the other half of what I was about to bring up, a disastrous night for the Pac-12 if UCLA loses this. But you say no chance, even though Arizona just down 14-0.
Zero chance. I'm telling you, this UCLA team, and I'm going to tell you right now, they will end up in the college football playoff.
UCLA will.
Yep.
LT, you are crap-faced right now.
Yeah, I don't
kidding
think
me?
they will. No, there's no way. They're not in the playoffs.
I'll do a 2-1 stake bet. You give me 2-1.
I thought he was going with the other nut.
Wait a second. I just get UCLA doesn't make the college football playoffs.
Yeah, 2-1 though.
Okay.
You give me 2 stakes to 1.
Oh yeah, LT. But I again, this is sort of like I'm not sure I should be able to kiss you right now because you're so drunk. I feel like
I give these away, Dunaway. I give these away.
Okay, I'll take it. If you're not too drunk, if you still feel like, can you touch your nose?
I thought we were doing post game after Alabama. I don't know why I got confused with that.
Okay, I need you.
I only drank beer.
Just give me one of these.
Start bourbon until night game's kicked.
Give me one of these real quick. Show me that you can do this.
I can do this.
See, look at it.
Okay,
can you do this?
2-1. Oh, I love those. I love those.
The leaf blowers are getting there.
We're gonna get them back tonight.
Glow Stick City.
We're gonna get them back tonight.
Yeah, leaf blowers are getting paid back.
So 2-1. I just have UCLA does not make the college football playoff.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Like, how much have you drank today? If you had to guess.
I've been drinking water all day. I've had like 2 beers and maybe 1 drink. I don't know.
Some bourbon.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to lay that out there, Dunaway.
Okay. Have you heard from our friends at WBUZD?
Oh yeah, they're here.
Detroit's power station.
Oh yeah. Hey, before you go, LT, any other game you want to hit on before you go?
Texas was disappointing.
Yeah, let me bounce around.
I will tell you this. I make mistakes all the time. Liberty losing to UConn, Jim Moore Jr. with that program, I got to give him a ton of credit. They're 6-5 now. They've had big wins. And I watched a lot of that game today. I think I was the only person that watched it. But UConn is like sneaky good. I don't know how to explain them because Liberty's really good. But for what he's done at UConn is crazy.
Y'all just give me one quick one-line reaction to all these games real quick, okay? I know we watched a little bit of – each of you watched a little bit UCF over Tulane. That was a fun game down in New Orleans and a big win for Gus. What?
Big game for me. I had UCF.
Yep. Big win for Gus. I guess that puts him in the driver's seat, especially the Liberty loss done away for New Year's Six Bowl.
That's right. That's big. How about Vandy beating Kentucky? I know it doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but
you know what? People were texting me like, so does LT still think Mark Stoops is better than Tommy Tuberville? I mean, that is Lance. He just Lance.
You have one loss.
It's Vandy, Lance. It's Vandy. Nah, Stoops. He wasn't better than Tuberville before that game, And that
You know
drops
what's
you
so
down.
funny is we're all tapping out on Stoops and Pittman because of this year. Everybody is.
Big win for UAB today, a senior day.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Dunaway, and I'm sorry to do this to you. Can I quickly go back again against Vandy? Will Levis has like 140 pass yards. Somebody wake me up when this guy does anything that looks like an NFL quarterback, much less a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
I
at
agree with
home,
that
at
100%.
home,
At home, I know. At
against
home,
Vandy.
at home. Yeah, it makes no sense, Dunaway. No sense. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. UAB, a big win for UAB. 2 rushers over 120 yards. Senior day, they win by 20. So yeah, it was a good win for the Blazers.
What about Georgia, LT? On the road at Mississippi State wasn't ended up being exactly what he thought it was going to be, but back in August it looked a lot tougher.
Yeah, it did. And again, I mean, Georgia's Georgia right now. And I'm almost to the point now that like Blake Corum is like the entire Michigan offense.
He is.
Yeah. And so I think there's only 2 teams that can win the national championship. I don't know if you guys agree. I think it's Ohio State or Georgia.
Hey,
I think we're going to see it, and we'll see how that thing plays out.
Did anybody have a problem with Tennessee running up the score at the end?
no, because I had forgotten about the Jim Rome deal. I don't know if you remember that. By the way, as LT brags about UCLA, they have quickly.
Yeah, real quick, Bobby, play UCLA minus 6.5. They'll end up winning this game by 28 points. I'm about to get down on it right now, too.
Dunaway, I had forgotten all about the Jim Rome interview where Eli Drinkwitz took shots at Tennessee saying they were going to have to forfeit games to them. There had to be some bad blood there. I mean, Heupel with a 30-point lead is throwing deep with under a minute to go. I mean, he's trying to.
You think it was grudge on Eli and not
do.
on trying to impress the committee?
Nah. I mean, because you were already winning the game by 35 points. I don't think, going over 60 was going to do anything for you. I think it was all about Eli Drinkwitz. I really do.
Is there a scenario where Tennessee gets left out of this thing?
Yeah. I mean,
they're not going to lose one of their last 2 games. So they're going to be 11-1, not playing the SEC championship game. Michigan and Ohio State are going to have to play each other. Is there a scenario where they get left out of this thing?
Zero chance.
Tennessee gets left out.
Yeah, I guess if LSU wins out, beats Georgia, and LSU and Georgia both are in, you can't put Tennessee in at that point.
Well, here's what I would say. Like, if TCU wins out, TCU's in. I don't think any of us disagree with that. But when I look at the Pac-12 right now, you already had Oregon lose. UCLA right now is struggling. They're going to end up winning going away. USC's defense is awful. It was different last night against a terrible Colorado team. But, yeah, I think if Tennessee – I would be shocked if Tennessee wins out if they're not in.
And that's why I took your bet, LT, on UCLA, because Tennessee is going to be a 1-loss team. Michigan or Ohio State is going to be a 1-loss team. TCU, I think at worst, is going to be a 1-loss team. Clemson likely is either them or North Carolina are going to win that division. If it's Clemson, they're going to be a 1-loss team. I just don't see how UCLA is going to have a place to be in this thing.
You think 1-loss Tennessee in front of 1-loss Ohio State, Lance? If that loss is Michigan?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on how it goes. No. So that game is in Columbus. If Ohio State lost by field goal, if Michigan was to win that game by double digits, then Ohio State's out.
But, so I don't think you can't say it's a 0%, but Tennessee I think is in good shape. But there are certainly scenarios that knock them out. You mentioned that Michigan game. I don't know if you guys were watching. I for some reason had it on. Mark Whipple got rolled up on the sidelines. That was a scary scene. I don't know if y'all saw it. It's a kickoff return. I don't know if he's not paying attention or what, but they had to ease him. I mean, he was on the ground a long time. They had to stop the game, go back to the studio. He was on the ground so long. And then he got up and couldn't walk. They had to basically, and he's a big guy, big old guy, carry him to the bench. And the first thing he does is reach down and grab his headset and put it back on and start calling plays again from the bench. So it was a scary scene, though. It really was.
So I mean, I don't think it's a given for Tennessee by any stretch of the imagination, but boy, they look like a playoff team. And I mean, that was a pretty good defense. They put 66.
Can I go stake to stake? Tennessee and UCLA get in. So
what?
Used on our stakes here. So what's the bet now? Stake to stake?
No, so it's a straight up stake. Tennessee gets in or not. UCLA gets in or not.
Well, no, I mean. I mean, I feel like I took advantage of you. I'd be willing to do that, but you made a horrible bet with UCLA, right?
I always make horrible bets with you, right?
So why do I give it? Why am I going to give it back?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
I
right.
got to roll.
Okay.
You got to go see your people, LT. Don't make too much noise now. I mean, pay them back, but let's keep this civil.
How
okay?
would you guys handle that, by the way?
I'd just go have fun out there if I were you.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it intentionally. Yeah.
Don't make us come
Hey,
bail
by
you
the
out.
way, I did get a text about Dunaway. Hold on. Let me see what it said.
What?
It said,
Okay.
yeah.
Is this something we can say live on the air?
Well, I think.
Tell Dunaway to drink more Dobell.
Tell Tyler I will. I left my bottle at the station though, so we are out here at the Dunaway house.
I got
bad
some.
move.
You want to come by?
No, I don't. But do you know why I left it up there? Because I didn't know if you had gotten that extra case for anything specific, so I didn't want to just take one without asking you.
FOMO Jim doesn't want to come by.
Jim, it's going to be a party.
You've already got a party of 10 and a big head
We're
start on
doing
me.
silent disco. I got a DJ out there with people are doing the headphones and stuff. But
It's
whatever.
loud techno. Have a rave. Just rave it up out there is what Smuff says.
Okay. I'll see you boys.
See you, man.
All right, man. Be good. That is Lance Taylor bailing out, heading to the party outside. Hopefully, sorry about that. Hopefully we don't have to go bail him out anyway.
Of jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope not too.
You just never know. I hope not.
I told him if he made it to graduation without getting arrested, we would buy him a car.
It is the next round's Culver's postgame show. Culver's Welcome to Delicious. Two great locations. Tattersall Park, 119 and 280. Also Stadium Trace and Hoover, just off 459 near the Met. Thank you also to Next Round Cocktails, drinknextround.com, drinknextround.com, the Rosé Sangria, Salted Lime Margarita, there at drinknextround.com. And don't forget to hit the Next Round store, nextround.store, all your fall gear and all our normal gear there as well. The hats, the pullovers, Dunaway's wearing one of each, a hat and a hoodie. I've got the old flag shirt here. You look like Lane. Oh, Lane, man, he had that hoodie pulled up with his headset over it.
He did. I don't know if it was a good look for Lane today. I mean, Mark Stoops was a name you heard mentioned some at Auburn. Hugh Freeze lost. Lane lost. There are people in our text thread that would love to get Lane. But during that same game, you're complaining about Lane going for it on fourth down at certain times. I mean, that's what you're going to get. And Gary Danielson, who, by the way, I thought was better with the flu because he didn't talk as much.
I agree completely. Yeah,
made a real. And does it seem like Nestler's cheering against Alabama? Like there's bad blood there now?
Whoa, look at Jimmy Bama.
I'm never at home to hear the broadcast.
Well, but real quick
but on Gary, real quick, he said that that Lane knows that early on with their tempo, it's hard. They try to get off to quick start, score early because, like in a batting cage, people adjust to their speed as the game moves on, and that totally happened in this game too. And Lane had this exotic stuff ready to go, and it just befuddled Alabama on the first couple of drives. And then as it went on, it was like Alabama's adjusted to it. Now the running game's not working like it did in the first half. This isn't working like it did in the first half. So that's the one thing that would concern me about Lane Kiffin as a head coach would be, does he have all this stuff that works briefly, but no real basic engine that can drive you to great success? It just concerns me a little bit. He's a great play caller with great players at Alabama. Can he build a program to sort of recreate that magic again?
Scott is going to go ahead and own it. You were trying to be anonymous with him, but he says, I won't Lane. Yes. His analytics do drive me nuts at times. Yes. I'll deal with it.
Well, Scott, thanks for watching.
Yeah, Scott Forrester. There is, look, I mean, they're on the Auburn sidelines. It's a personal friend of mine in Dunaway's, Brent Bedsole. They showed him tonight walking with Cardell. He's got the analytics notebook, so he already got it at Auburn. I don't know how much Harsin was do or die with it. I don't know how much Carnell is do or die with it. Part of me was thinking, why do you have analytics? You can't throw the ball to save your life. All you can do is run. If it's fourth and a rundown, you probably go for it if you're in decent field position. I don't know what analytics they're looking at with that Auburn offense. That said,
while you're bringing up Harsin and Cornell in the same sentence there, how can all of a sudden in basically 1 week of real practice, because last week they didn't have time to even know what they're doing. In 1 week of practice, how can they make that offense look so much better? How can they make that offense with all those misdirection plays and everything look so much better than they did when Brian Harsin was there? Was he just stubborn where they didn't want to run those type of plays? But there were a few wrinkles they've added in the last 10 days that I absolutely loved with that offense tonight.
Well, they're more committed to the run. Bigsby had 23 carries tonight. And I
who's
think
their
when
best
you
players
say,
on offense? Oh, the running backs.
yeah, no, they didn't run it enough under Harsin. There's no doubt. So when you say make it look better, though, I just want to be abundantly clear because they Ashford was 8 of 13. Their pass game looked awful.
Yeah, but
You
their
just
run
mean
game,
the run game. It's a
run
more
game,
creative
yeah.
run game. Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I don't know how. I don't know how.
And you know what's going to happen if you keep having success running it? It's going to make some of those throws a little bit better.
Yeah.
But real quickly on Carnell, they're up 7-0. He's a aggressive. It's not my job guy. The people are here to see me. The crowd's going crazy. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. I saw one guy compare it to Field of Dreams. With that kind of day down there, everybody was just there to experience the stadium and Field of Dreams, and he plays it so smart down there, kicking that field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 to go up 10-0 because he knew his defense was just killing Texas A&M. And then later on, he does another smart play. He just coached a brilliant game tonight. Hats off to Carnell.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, there was early on where he had a 4th and I think it was 1 or 2, and he went ahead and punted because I think he had a feel for the game early, and knew A&M's not going to, they're not going to score 30 tonight. I think Carnell probably knew pretty early in that game, if I can get to 14, I'm fine. Yep. So yeah, I agree with you on that. But Lane seems to be so married to his analytics. Analytics are fine. I don't mind, what are the percentages if we go for it here? That's a piece of data, right? Like if Dunaway, if you said, if you and I are playing golf and you're like, Brown, there's a 60% chance you can carry this water. I mean, that's a piece of data, right? Okay, 60%. So the analytics say 60%. Do I have to get it perfect to get that 60%? What if I lay up? That's just a piece of data. It feels like Lane is 60%. Oh, it's more than 50. Let's go for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Lane feels like.
I don't know about you, but 60% I carry the water. I don't try to carry the water usually at that point.
Well, again, like I said, I mean, maybe I do. Do I need to gain a stroke on you? Are we on 17 and I'm running out of time? That's my whole point, is there's always factors. I mean, and I'm sure they consider those factors as well, right? Like field position is obviously one of them. Time on the clock has to be one of them. What is the score? Are we in, and to your point with Carnell, are we in an up-paced offensive game? Or are we in a game where 14 points is probably going to win the game? I'm going to approach it differently if I'm in a game where I'm going to need 42 points, or if I'm in a game where I'm going to need 14 points, right?
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Lane last year in Tuscaloosa is going for it right off of 4th down. We're on that first drive in Tuscaloosa over and over again, and giving Alabama chances and not taking easy points. And, he was a little different today, but.
Well, he did go for it on that first possession. And when you look at the final score, field goals ended up being fairly important in that game today, didn't they? That's what, Alabama kept having to settle for field goals.
It did. Hey, by the way, I just saw in the highlights, how bad did Florida beat South Carolina today? Ooh.
Yeah, it was ugly, man.
It was a good one for Florida.
I hate it for our guy Beamer. You're right. Good win for Florida, 38-6. Our guy Beamer is going to finish 6-6 because his next two are Tennessee and Clemson. Florida is at 6-4. I got to remember who they play. Oh, they got Vandy coming off their win in Nashville. Should be a Florida win, and then at Florida State. So Florida's got a chance to get to 8 wins at least. Gosh, there was one other game, Dunaway, I was going to bring up. Clemson. I wanted to bring up Clemson because I think a lot of people thought Clemson was going to lose to Louisville. In fact, they won that game 31-16. Now, Malik Cunningham did go out of that game hurt. But the one thing I wanted to bring up was you still did not see any of Cade Klubnik throwing the football. He came in and ran a little bit, but they're still with DJ Uyunglele, and they're going to stick with him long term, it appears.
185 yards passing, and that clinches their division, and so they're in the ACC championship game. But
North Carolina, it appears. North Carolina won tonight, and I think that clinches it for Carolina.
Yeah, Drake May only threw for 448 yards.
It's incredible, isn't it, what that guy's doing?
Yep. And again, my phone blows up. Is Drake May going to be at Alabama next year? Well, I don't know. Why do you guys think he's going to be at Alabama next year?
I know.
448 yards. If he is, it'll be fun. But 448 yards tonight against Wake Forest was crazy.
Carolina did clinch it because now they can only finish in a tie with Duke in that division, who they won head-to-head. So it's going to be Carolina-Clemson. That could be an interesting – I don't know how much Carolina can do against that Clemson defense. That could be an interesting ACC championship
It's so
game.
weird. The Athletic just sent me an alert on my phone that says Clemson and North Carolina clinch spot in ACC.
How about that? They're listening to us, Dunaway. They're listening. Bobby says, was it the Brown Bandit that gave us Purdue this week? That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Bandit. Hit an early three-teamer. Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Purdue. Good three-teamer for him. Purdue did get that win. What was your upset alert?
It was not good. It was, I think it was Rutgers.
It was Rutgers. How did that go? I didn't even watch
27-21. So I think I got inside the number, but they did not win outright.
Points, right? Oh, that's points. You just needed points.
I'll get a point. I don't know. Was it 6.5? Sounds like something would have been.
I don't know. You have to go back. Michigan State, though, did beat them 27-21. All right. So next week's the crap week, though, Jim. We got the crap week of SEC football next week. My least favorite week of the season. Yep. It's my least favorite. My least favorite weekend of the season is next week.
Just think of the week we had. I'm looking back here at these pictures.
Yeah.
Of our dry race boards. We had a great time at Trustful Social the other night on Thursday night.
Yep.
The freaking beautiful Budweiser Clydesdale's in town. You still see them tomorrow up in Coleman. Yep. We had that this week. I played golf on Tuesday.
Okay.
It was just a good week. Good week.
This coming week is this coming Saturday is the Austin P Alabama game and Western Kentucky Auburn game. Western Kentucky, no pushover. I mean, that's a game Auburn, Western Kentucky can throw the football. You got Georgia, Kentucky coming off a Vandy loss. Georgia likely will run them out of Kroger Field. Tennessee at South Carolina, that should be a bludgeoning. Ole Miss, Arkansas. East Tennessee against Mississippi State. UMass against Texas A&M. Dunaway, if they were playing that game in my backyard, I'd call the police on them.
I don't even want you to go through the schedule, Brown.
Florida, Vandy, New Mexico State, Missouri, and UAB, LSU. That's it, man.
Stop it, man. Stop it.
But if you remember, this is the week I said, look out for some top 25 carnage coming up this next week.
So we've got some good national games you're telling us.
Well, one of them I said, look, Ohio State plays Maryland. They'll be a huge favorite. Maybe you could see a path to victory. You really can't now. I mean, Maryland got drilled by Penn State. I tried to sell you on Michigan, Illinois. Now Illinois has lost not one straight, but two straight now after losing to Purdue.
You do have Georgia, Kentucky.
Yeah. Kentucky just lost to Vandy.
You have TCU at Baylor.
TCU at Baylor. I mean, we keep picking against TCU. We're going to be right at some point, right?
Yeah. Tennessee at South Carolina. That's different, right?
It is different, but that's still a blowout. Utah's at Oregon, but it doesn't matter now because Oregon's already taken that loss to Washington.
And Bo Nix healthy.
The Victory Bell game's massive, though. USC at UCLA.
Maybe it won't be because Arizona's up by 7 again.
I mean, LT, he was just saying that they would win this game, right? That was the bet.
Yeah. No, the bet was they would make the college football.
No. This game was a nut to $7. I took the bet.
Oh yeah, but the 2 stakes to 1 is UCLA in the college football playoff.
I don't care. That's between you and him.
Yeah. You just care about the nut.
I mean, I just want the chaos, man. I just want the chaos. Clemson, Miami is next week. Miami's terrible though. So
Ole Miss and Arkansas doesn't mean as much anymore.
Got zero meaning, really.
Texas and Kansas doesn't mean as much anymore. Kansas State, West Virginia. All of a sudden some of those possible. Oh, we got Bedlam next week, but that doesn't. I mean, Oklahoma's just trying to get bowl eligible.
My gosh, they have fallen off quickly, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible looking kick to win it, but it went through for West Virginia, so that's all that matters. All right, Dunaway, you got anything else, man? Any other game we didn't get to?
I don't, man. I'm gonna sit over here now. I'm gonna cheer for Arizona because I get that win tonight. No way, 2 loss UCLA gets in. I'll go ahead and take a stake.
Rose Bowl field is chopped up. It's in pretty bad shape.
It is, Well, that's what happens when it's frozen and you spray water on it and try to get.
Did that story make any sense to you at all? Were they trying to make the field worse? You think?
Yeah, it worked. It kept them in the game, kept it close. Kept it close. Does that golden boot trophy look like if you like dropped it the wrong way, it has jagged edges and will cut you like a knife?
It looked like it cut your foot off, like if
Yeah.
it got turned upside down and it went straight down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought that. I've always thought, is this the best idea to have all those jagged edges on a trophy?
Yeah,
And
metal
I don't
jagged
know,
edges. And why does it have to be 4 feet tall?
I know. And did you see them at the end? They're struggling actually to hold it up, and somebody's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" I mean, I think somebody was worried that somebody was going to get chopped on it.
Yeah. It's not my favorite trophy, I'll go ahead and tell you. But then some team today was playing for like a little miniature trophy. Like one person could hold it in their hand like this big.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I forget what game it was. It may have been the Illinois game. Who did Illinois play today?
Illinois played Purdue. That was my upset alert. I don't know if they play for a trophy. I know we had Iowa, Wisconsin, the Heartland Trophy. That was my tradition this week, but that was a big trophy. You remember that one?
Yeah.
I looked like a golden bull from the Old Testament sitting up on a box. All right. Hey, listen, thank you to Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. 119-280 there in Tattersall Park. Also Stadium Trace, 459 near the Hoover Met. That's where you can find the two great locations of Culver's. Welcome to Delicious.
I may go get some of those new Buffalo chicken fingers tomorrow for the
so
NFL
good.
game. You know, my team plays at 8:30 in the morning.
I know. Over in Germany. How you feeling about it?
What's a good German breakfast? Eggs and kraut?
I had kraut today. I had brats today. In
honor
of your Buccaneers. I did.
On your grill?
I did not grill them. It was a little messy out today. So we did them in the old air fryer.
Oh, the grill master using the air fryer. What do you call the grilling king? What are you?
The grilling king using the air fryer.
Is it grilling king really?
That was it, yeah. The grilling king. I hadn't done a video in a long time though. This other gig has got in my way a little bit.
Yeah, we'll bring it back.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to Next Round Cocktails. DrinkNextRound.com. It's over Dunaway's right shoulder. You see the rosé sangria and salted lime margarita. DrinkNextRound.com to find your location or to order those. DrinkNextRound.com. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up, retweet us, share us, do all those things. Make sure you subscribe and set your alerts. All right. Well, good luck to your Bucks tomorrow.
So we're not going. I thought LT was going to give us a shot of the fire. He's going to show us what was going on out there. Is that not happening?
You know, I was unaware of that. But if he wants to, I'm fine with it. I guarantee you, he didn't take his computer out there with him, though.
I guess he did not.
Yeah, and if you think he knows how to do it on his phone,
he does not.
Zach says any sausage is German. Any sausage, Jimmy German.
All right. So if I eat Jimmy Dean freaking sausage tomorrow morning, is that German?
It feels a little southern.
It does, but maybe it's southern Germany.
I think you at least need links. Zach says he's worked for too many Germans. He must have a Mercedes job over there.
He must. I will. I got to have something. I got to set my alarm to get up early. I'm glad I remembered it because my alarm was set to be at church by 11.
Yeah, bangers and mash. That's German, right? What is bangers and mash? Is it that?
Sounds like a game LT's playing out at the fireplace right now.
Is it? I think bangers and mash is sausage and kraut or something like that. I don't know. All right, we'll see you boys at 9 o'clock and ladies at 9 o'clock Monday morning. Dunaway, good luck to the Bucks. Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us. See you at 9 o'clock Monday.